inside a secluded lighthouse, just a few steps down the shore from the old mill, where the blue moon shines bright enough to make happy little reflections along the hidden lake. It's the joy of Bob Ross, a happy little podcast. The podcast that crosses covered bridges and searches deep below every bubbling stream and every rustic barn to bring you Bob Ross stories of joy. And tonight we're sharing that joy with you and with certified Ross instructor Stacey Sparrow, extreme makeup athlete and body painter Melissa Croft, plus the jazzy jams of Peapod Piper and the podcast house band, and your happy little host, Rod Scalzo. Yes, friends and squirrels. We are back in the happy little saddle and ready to podcast along with you. It's the Joy of Bob Ross, a happy little podcast. And as we promised our ancestors, in between bringing you Bob Ross relevant stories and interviews from around the world in audio and sometimes video form, we pop up here once every month to gaze lovingly at a classic Joy of Painting episode alongside some colorful characters in the Bob Ross universe. And while we dust off the film from the public television archives, let's get you caught up on what's happening in the Bob Ross universe. Our latest episode is for your ears only, and it features a profile of Canadian Bob Ross superfan Erin Bunn. Erin does painting tutorials on Twitch at Erin Bunn Paints. And we first met her here in this space for episode 51, the Island Paradise Rewatch, along with one of our besties, CRI Faye Fletcher. There's Erin on the beach with her Bob Ross easel and her beautiful is that a Bob Ross painting? It looks like a painting of the lake that she's in front of. We also met some people and got some firsthand accounts of what it's like to live in Bob's favorite part of the country, Alaska. So check out episode 63, Bob Ross and the Last Frontier, wherever you podcast your thingies. And coming up next month, we're bringing you our Comic-Con episode. We went there as promised, and we queried many costumed characters about why Bob Ross is a superhero from inside the San Diego Convention Center. And let's tease the kids with a little snippet from that happy little experience, shall we?
You're all liquid.
Yes.
What brings you here to the con, Kool-Aid Man?
Well, I'm looking for other Kool-Aids.
Can you give me an, oh yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Now break through the wall. Good enough. Are you an art fan?
Yes.
What are you excited about here at the con?
Mostly the Marvel art.
And do you know who Bob Ross is?
Yes.
And who is he?
I imagine who you're trying to be.
Trying to be, right, exactly. But who's the real Bob Ross?
A painter.
Right, do you paint Kool-Aid Man? It's probably hard to hold a brush with those hands.
If you got a big brush, I can do it.
I'm sure maybe we should make a custom-made Kool-Aid Man Bob Ross brush that will fit comfortably in between your digits.
Yes.
Well, I hope you have a good time. Stay cool. You get it?
Get it.
Thanks, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And in addition to the Kool-Aid Kid, we met his mom and his aunt, the Fanta twins. We met Bob Ross, Spider-Man Bob Ross, as you saw, was there. I mean, talk about a cross-pollination of universes. 63 happy little episodes of The Joy of Bob Ross can be heard and sometimes seen on the Bob Ross channel on Twitch, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the YouTube. All right, we're ready to jump into our public television time machine, but we can't do it without our Rewatch guests. Our first is a certified Bob Ross instructor from Massachusetts. We were introduced to her on episode 38 of the podcast, Color My World. She's got a name Bob Ross would absolutely have loved. Let's welcome back Stacey Sparrow. Hello, Stacey.
Hi, Ron. How are you?
Look at this colorful background behind you. Are those all yours, I presume?
Yes, these are my versions of Bob's paintings.
Now, did you know you were going to be here tonight, or is this just a coincidence that you're always on camera with dozens of Bob Ross related paintings behind you?
I don't travel without them.
Oh, you take them with. They're
Yeah.
portable. Are they all
Yep.
glued together? Is it just like one big
Yeah, with like a backpack kind of thing that just follows me around.
In 7th grade, you told us you got a Bob Ross painting kit for Christmas, and unlike a lot of people who discovered Bob Ross at a young age who just were mesmerized or fell asleep, you went all in, and the rest is history. Tell us a little more about that.
It was the start of it all. I opened that Bob Ross kit, and I don't think I even opened anything else. I was like, oh, I have to go paint now. And I painted, obviously, a cabin. Actually, it was a covered bridge. It wasn't a cabin. And I was like, I'm going to be an art teacher like Bob Ross. And that was decision made, end of story. Um, Went into high school, took lots of art classes, and ended up at Mass College of Art as an art education major.
And now you run a legit, like what we call it, a workshop. It's called Art on the Rocks, and it's doing exactly what you wanted to do, not just Bob Ross paintings, but all types of art. Yeah.
Yeah, so after school, I was like, "Oh, you need a job because they want you to like go be an adult now." And finding an art teacher job is difficult. So I kind of invented my own thing. So when I was 25, I opened Art on the Rocks in Leominster, Massachusetts, and started teaching classes, acrylics, and then started teaching kids classes and adult classes, and eventually decided to become a Bob Ross instructor. So I was able to go to New Smyrna Beach in Florida and study at his studio that's still like a working actual studio. And then bring that back here with me so I can kind of help spread the joy of painting in real life. I like to say, like, kind of the modern girl version of Bob. We both have ridiculous hair, and I like to kind of keep that joy of painting going and making art attainable for other people. And becoming a Bob Ross instructor has let me do that.
We always feature a certified Bob Ross instructor on these rewatches to get some technical expertise, but we love to hear what it's actually like to try to paint these paintings that Bob does for us in these 400 some odd episodes. And you guys are the next best thing. Everyone we've talked to in this universe has a different origin story, but they all learned this wet on wet technique, and a lot of these people, including yourself, their lives have been transformed, and you're doing the thing. So we're excited to spend the next 35 to 40 minutes watching the joy of painting with you, Stacey.
Awesome.
Our next guest paints herself mostly. She's a body painter, a makeup artist. You may know her on Twitch. She's a self-described extreme makeup athlete. Let's welcome Melissa Croft. Hello, Melissa.
Hi, how are you doing today?
Oh, all right. I mean, let's address. You can't peel that off, can you?
I could try. It might hurt.
How did you start your day? Like, when did this? What was the strategy
Good
behind it?
question. I woke up and I ate 3 hard-boiled eggs, and then I watered my plants, and then I came to my room, and then I set up stream, and I was like, "Hey, chat, we've got a Bob Ross guest podcast coming up later," and I thought, why don't we try and do a little Bob Ross painting today? And so my chat was like, "Love that, great idea, chance of cabin," and then here we are.
Now you describe yourself online and off, I would imagine too, as an extreme makeup athlete. Talk about your origin story as a body painter. What was the inspiration
Ooh.
behind that in the first place?
So I've always really done a lot of I mean, I feel like loads of kids do like drawings and stuff. I don't think it's a abnormal thing to be like, I've been drawing from such a young age, because I think that's pretty normal for a lot of kids. And the thing that was a bit more of a turning point for me was when my mum would like buy me like eyeshadow palettes and stuff, and there'd be like a silver in there, and I was like, oh my God, and I'd plaster it all over my face and be like, I'm the Terminator. And well, I don't know if that's a normal reaction for kids when they come across that kind of thing, but it was one of the things which I was really enjoying, is just using different mediums just to produce artwork, and I really enjoyed that. So since I basically could get my hands on makeup, I was just drawing all over myself. And since then, I just kept taking makeup too far, and here I am.
Now, obviously, we don't ask our rewatch guests to paint their faces. It's not a requirement. So we appreciate you being in the spirit of this, considering what you do on Twitch as a body painter. Talk to us about your Bob Ross story. When did you discover Bob in your life? And, why are you relevant? Obviously, your face tells the story alone, but why do you love Bob Ross as much as hopefully a lot of people that are listening and contributing to this conversation right now?
I think, like many people, I came across Bob Ross on television, and so he's very calming. He's very nice to watch. He's shows that he makes you feel like anyone can do it, and I stand by that when people ask me about my makeup, and I genuinely think anyone can do it. It's just a bit of practice and getting a bit of know-how, and I think that's really, really important for a lot of people. And I look forward to watching the episode where we can kind of like note that as well. But for me, I kind of watched it on television, and I just feel like it's nice that we have somewhere that we can have someone who really helps to like teach a lot of the paintings, so to speak. But like for me, I feel as though I kind of like left Bob alone for a little bit, kind of forgot about it. And then when I came across Twitch about 7.5 years ago, I saw the Bob Ross channel, and I was like, oh my God, Bob Ross, he's back.
Now I'm curious, we're going to watch this Joy Painting episode, but I'm still mesmerized by what's going on your face there. How's Bob intertwined in that? Are you watching a Bob paint something while you're painting your face at the same time? Is it modeled on an actual Joya painting that we've seen before?
Yes, this one's the Mountain Retreat. I was flicking through a collection of his paintings, and I was watching it, and then I was like, okay, he was like, obviously when he's just like, we're just going to do some mountains here, and then I'll pause it, and I'll be like, right, okay. So the difficult thing is trying to translate it, because I can't take a palette knife and go as hard on myself as he obviously goes as hard as he does on the canvas. And so I have to adapt a lot of what he's doing. So I've created this with body paints, but mostly with a lot of eyeshadows, and trying to take what he does, but I have to almost translate it in a way that's going to work. When he's like, oh, just like stab and poke the canvas, and I'm like getting a bit close to my eye. So I'm thinking like, I can't do that. So there's a few things which I have to take into consideration. Like when you do like makeup or like body paint, you have anchor points like my nose, my eyes, like my mouth. It's very difficult to change where those parts of your face are. So I was thinking, what can I do for doing a small bit of like Bob Ross on the face today? And so I came up with, let's just kind of like do it as if there's a stripe going across my face, like it's kind of been like swiped across. And I kind of like followed it step by step, but having to translate it and kind of look at what he's doing and be like, well, how can I do that, but with makeup, and trying to figure out how we can translate it into a different medium has its own difficulties. But it's also got its own strengths. I don't have to wait for as long for it to dry.
Theodora Styles in the chat says, gonna be a new requirement now. I don't know. I mean, I have more real estate. Maybe we can do like an Easter episode or something, right? I mean, Stacey,
we could like fade it out, do like daytime here, and then fade it out into like doing like a nighttime look at the back.
Yeah, the sky's the limit, literally. Stacey saw you pop on earlier when we did our little sound check, and she understandably was like, well, I got to raise my game now. Like, look at this, Stacey, what do you think? What do you think of Melissa's face work?
I want to be her best friend, and she nailed it. So I had to like go get my eyeshadow palette and try and do something, but I'm not a makeup artist. I was so amazed because I know this technique too, and translating it, like she said, from one medium to another is really impressive. Nailed it. Great job.
Thank you.
Well, we're excited to have you both. We could probably talk about face painting and landscape face painting for another half hour, but let's get to the matter at hand. On February 22nd, 1984, Bob Ross took our breath away. He created an aquatic evening scene highlighted by a structure rarely seen in a Bob Ross painting, very rarely seen for that matter. This Joy of Painting episode is called Nightlight. Stacey, this is one you picked. Tell us
Yes.
why. Enlighten us.
I will shed some light on that for you. So it's one of my favorites. I love teaching it because you start with a black canvas and they're privy to the image beforehand, so they know what the end result looks like. But when they come into my class, I have them take some green and some crimson and put it all over the canvas, which you really can't see because these translucent colors. And for the first 20 minutes, they look at me like I'm absolutely crazy. And it's funny to watch their process kind of unfold and see that, a novice painter, many of times people that have never painted at all are leaving my class with something that they're just like, whoa, look what I did. And it's cool because, they get excited to watch that unfold. We take our time. Bob was doing these in about 20 minutes. We do them in about 4 hours in a class setting. And it's just really fun to watch people kind of go from like, what is this lady saying, to it actually worked and I'm leaving with a painting. This is cool.
Our technical producer, James, Feed Me a Gyro, Shapiro. He's as hungry as ever, hiding under the lighthouse and ready to hit play and pause on the VCR if and when we ask him to. So let's turn on the Nightlight, The Joy of Painting, Series 3, Episode 8. It's the Bob Ross Rewatch Party with Stacey and Mel. Let's roll it. You gotta do the head bob.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Bob's quick. This one's coming together quickly.
Snappy.
Jesus Christ.
Keep up, friends.
He usually does it in 25 minutes. This is 25 seconds, I think, a new record. I got to shout out the 80s era Tales from the Dark Side font that they used for Series 3.
You ready to do a fantastic painting with me? Well, last week I promised us that we would do the painting that you see animated at the beginning of each show. So I've taken the liberty of going ahead and covering the canvas with paint. We're using a black canvas today. It has been painted with a flat black acrylic and allowed to dry completely. On top of that, I have one area right here of alizarin crimson, and over in here I just put a little bit of crimson somewhere just so we'll have a little bit of pinkish color in the sky. The rest of the canvas is covered with a mixture of about equal parts of phthalo green and alizarin crimson. It makes a very beautiful gray color. So that's what we have the canvas covered with. Don't allow this to dry now before you start. You want this wet. Okay. Let's start with a 1-inch
Now,
brush.
Stacey, I hate to interrupt Bob so quickly, but
cad yellow.
lots of Bob's
And a little
position
tiny
up
bit of
top
paint on the
here.
brush here.
I'm not used to
We're gonna start out by
seeing
making
this
the
primed canvas, and
glow that you
obviously
see in
Bob
the
doesn't have
sky,
time
which ends up
to
being
explain in
glow around
detail.
the
So can we
lighthouse.
pause it for a second?
Right up in here where
Can you, how do you even begin to prep a canvas in this way?
So it's literally just a black gesso or even black acrylic paint on the canvas. And then he would apply a very thin coat of liquid clear. So again, in classes, he's prepped this for TV Magic, so it's done ahead of time. But in our class, right off the rip, this probably takes about 15 minutes to paint a canvas kind of shiny and clear. So the curiosity is like right off the rip. It's like, what do we do? We're painting a black canvas shiny now, and you can't see any of these colors. Just like in here, he's already got that green and that crimson on there everywhere, and you can't see it. So it's confusing and kind of fun to get people going with these black canvases.
Well, let's see how Bob gets himself out of this
Little
mess.
glow
Go ahead,
bead.
James. Let's roll.
And start making little X's, just very gently, and work around in a circle. Like so. You want it to get darker and darker and darker as it goes out from the center. There we go. There. Now, You can make this as bright as you want it. All you need to do is clean the brush each time. You never want to go back into the center area with a dirty brush. So I go back into the cad yellow, and we can go right back in here and add a little bit more of the yellow. Make it as bright as you want it. One thing I'd suggest when you're doing these at home, you might make this a little bit brighter when you paint it than you want it to be when it's dry. As it dries, it's going to lose a little bit of the brightness, so make it a tiny bit brighter than you really want it to be. All right. Now, we can take the large brush and still making the little crisscross strokes, very gently blend this out. Leave a nice spot of yellow right here in the center. And that's where we'll put the lighthouse. There we go. Just blend it out.
Spoiler alert.
And then very gently we can just hypnotize that.
Now, according to various internet sources, this is the only Bob Ross painting on the show
Okay.
that included a lighthouse.
Now, let me clean out the little brush.
Chance of cabin.
Shake it off. Redecorate the studio.
Sea cabins.
Now let's take a little bit of white. This is just titanium white. And there's going to be a moon in this painting. So let's go right up in here and put a little black background color in. And we're just making little X's, little crisscross strokes. There. Okay. Now we can start having some fun. So we get this brush cleaned up. Let's do a
That's
little
an early
finger painting
appearance
here.
of
I'll
the
just
Beat
take
the
my
Devil
finger,
cam.
And let's say the
Classic.
moon is right there. Just take
Right there.
titanium white
Finger.
on your finger and just make a little circle up here in the sky. There. Isn't that easy? Now with a large brush, very gently, 3 hairs and some air. We just very lightly go across it. We don't want to destroy it. By now there's 3 layers of paint there, so be very gentle. Now let's take the fan brush and go right into a little bit of white. And all we need is a small amount on the brush for this. Color stands out so strong. And we'll just go right up in here and begin putting in some happy little cloud shapes. Now this will not be an exact duplicate of what you see at the beginning of the show, because it's almost impossible to make an exact duplicate. Just want to show you how that one was made. And at home you can just make all kinds of beautiful little things. These black canvases really are fantastic. There, just some very basic little shapes. And maybe right here, there's a happy little cloud that just sort of floats around. Here I'm using just the corner of the fan brush. Just let it drop right through there, maybe. Just the corner of the brush. Maybe there's a little stringy cloud right there. Wherever you want them, that's where they ought to be. Okay, now let's take the large brush. Be sure it's good and dry. And I'm going to very gently blend the bottom of this cloud out. Just like when we're making clouds on white canvas. There we go.
Stacey, I feel like the blending and the fluffing with this big brush, they feel extra impactful. Is that because of the dark background in the canvases?
Yeah, so with this black backgrounds, he would lay down these translucent colors. So again, super weird. You're starting off this canvas, you can't see anything. And then he uses an opaque color on top, like the white, to draw those colors out. So now you can see the gray and you can see the red and the yellow popping through with those opaque colors on top. And it's super impactful because in a few little swishes, all of a sudden you're like, whoa, there's this guy, and it just pops right out. It's really a cool way to paint. The black canvases are one of my favorites.
Shout out to black canvases, which always seem to appeal to novices and pros alike.
I think it seems like non-intuitive to a lot of people as well, because when they're taught artwork at school, they're always taught start with the light stuff and then work your way down to the dark stuff. It's like a very basic thing. So to do something that's completely against everything you've been taught is really strange for a lot of people. So I think as well to show that actually that was just, to get you started, but you actually see that once you learn that, you can actually reverse it and bring something else. It's really interesting, and it's really exciting to see another way to do some kind of painting.
Okay. I think now we're ready to start putting some water in here. Okay, I'm going to take titanium white, and to that I'm going to add a small amount of cad yellow, just a little bit, don't need much, tiniest little bit. Now, let's decide where our water line's going to be here. Let's say it's right about there. And we'll just make a basic line going all the way across the canvas. Just something like so. Okay. There it goes.
Chef
It's right
G
across.
JMK in the chat, the ability he had to create such a color contrast in this
Just
painting
fairly straight.
in the
Don't
sky,
get
but
too
still make
crooked
it
on
flow
the
together
line.
beautifully is so
Your
masterful.
water run right out of the painting. You'll have to tie a bucket on one side to catch
I
it.
think I agree with that statement.
There we go.
Mel, do you have ASMR in body painting? Is there any this the sound of the brush against flesh make your spine tingle at all?
I'd love to say so, but I'm much more of a screaming kind of person, and my dad
Oh.
calls my job screaming, not streaming. So I don't think I can be part of the ASMR community. People have described me more of a visual form of ASMR if they were doing that. I can't say it's more of a
Just touching
sound
the
kind of
canvas, add a
thing.
small amount of paint on the blade and just touching the canvas, allowing the
That's such a
canvas to
dad
work
thing to
all at once.
say. It's not streaming, it's screaming.
Is that you screaming, Leia?
Let the canvas do the work. There we go. Okay. Now, we take a large brush and very gently, we're just going to blend all this together. Just very gently. And if you want it to get a little darker, you just continue to blend. You can finally blend it till it's very, very
What
dark.
about you, Stacy? Do
You don't want to
students
lose all
comment
this
on the
nice
ASMR aspect of Bob Ross, something we learned early on in the iteration of this podcast but didn't know existed prior?
Yeah, I think it's really funny too. We always talk about it in class. The audio equipment on the Joy of Painting was just so high end that you think it's really loud and aggressive, but it's not. I mean, when he's saying just barely touch and the two hairs and some air, you're really just, it's like almost, I tell my students to try and challenge themselves to even not touch the canvas, kind of air guitar it. So it's funny because it sounds so dramatic on the show, but you're really just, I mean, you're barely touching.
Because there's a little bit more in it. Put a little highlight up here on this wave.
I think the best ASMR from this is Bob's voice. Just get lost.
And just let that go right
Yeah.
out.
I know so many people that say that's how they go to sleep or they put their kids to sleep, but like in the best way.
Make that one stand out. a
Yeah.
little. It's got a little light coming from the moon into it. And we just let that disappear right on into the background.
When you think about it, there should be a Bob Ross nightlight. Can we get that made?
Put it all down in here.
On it.
The afro.
And just let the fan brush sort of
Exactly.
wrap around the
You
canvas.
can picture it, right? There's that little switch on the bottom and his afro lights up.
Mm.
Just
These are the ideas, people. This is why we do this.
And really, there's
I have a
another
failed
little
Bob Ross chia pet. I could drill some holes in it and work some sort of nightlight option.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Memers
Okay.
in the chat. He's on a speaker under my pillow. So soothing.
Make one up here that you don't like.
Wow, that's keeping Bob close at night.
Yes. It's either really, really calming or really threatening. You got a pillow over it.
One thing is, I think it's about time we started worrying about our little lighthouse.
Oh, here it is.
We've got the glow in the sky already, so all we need to do is start worrying about the building. Okay, so let's do that. Let's start with Van Dyke Brown. We're going to go right up here in the center of the glow, the brightest area, touch the canvas, and just pull across, like so. And let's do that from the other side also, so we get nice, firm edges there. So all you have to do is just touch it, give it a little pull. Now, something that might help you a little bit at home, put a little center mark right there. That'll sort of give you a little guide. Then we'll take the small edge of the knife, and we can put a little little top on this lighthouse, a little cap. There.
I always get itchy when
Just
Bob
use a
covers
small
up stuff that I thought looked awesome, but he always makes it up to me in the end. We
This
call
part's
that a
actually
ruined moment.
particularly quite interesting. Do you mind if sorry to interrupt Bob, but this part is something I think is really key. So
Yeah.
what we're seeing here with Bob is something that I think is really important for a lot of people when they're like, I can't even draw a straight line, I can't pay anything, there's nothing I can do, art has failed me, my hands fail me. And we know that's not true. So as we watch this next part, I'd love for the chat to just especially take note of, just see how this lighthouse, like the triangle isn't perfect, like the rectangles, they're not perfect. Like see what about it actually looks perfect. And I think sometimes what we can do is we hold on to this erroneous belief that when we're doing artwork ourselves, everything has to look so perfect up close. Because when you're doing artwork, you tend to be looking at it about 4.5 inches away from the canvas especially when you're new. And I think that when you really take a step back and you see what you've done, like no artwork was ever really meant to be looked at that close. And God forbid you look at my face that close. So you'll be able to see that it makes a big difference when you're stood further back. So I hope it's kind of inspiring in a way to other people that things don't have to be perfect, but you can still make out what it is. And it's very similar to things like your handwriting. So everyone has their own flair with handwriting, but generally, hopefully, you can still pretty much read what other people are saying. Like an A looks like an A, and people have their own flair with it. And I think that goes the same thing with painting. So I would just love for the chat, I'm so sorry to interrupt Bob, but I would just love for the chat to also see that as we progress with this, look how imperfect the lighthouse is. Yet we all know Bob is like a favorite painter of so many of us. So I just think it'd be interesting for you guys to just take note of it's not actually perfect, but when we look at it from a distance later on, just see how it just doesn't have to be perfect. And that's why art is very, very accessible. It's more accessible than people actually think.
All that said, Seabiscuit, is it Seabiscuit D? That's true for a lot of things. Take a step back and see the whole. And earlier in this episode, and Stacey, you can comment on this, Bob says it a lot in his episodes about how you should take the time to step back in the middle of a painting and look at it from a different perspective. What are your thoughts on what Mel just said?
Absolutely. That's why this painting is one of my favorites. I always joke in my class and tell people that, especially in about another minute or so, when you see the whole railing around the top of the lighthouse, I wouldn't walk up there. It's a little sketchy. It may fall over in the sea breeze at any moment. But that was what's so cool about this is, art is something that can be for everyone and can be attainable for everyone. And that's why these paintings with Bob and the style of painting, it's just so approachable. When I teach this one in particular, I always freeze at about 15 and a half minutes, and I zoom in on our big screen that I have in my classroom of the top of the tower to show people, because it's crazy looking up close.
Now, if Bob wasn't already telling us he was making a lighthouse, I would have thought he was painting the Wicker Man.
Yeah, there's rocket ship vibes. There's a lot happening.
The rocket ship. There you go.
It's your world, friends.
Is that the Iron Giant, maybe?
Yeah.
Want a little rail that goes right around here. So we just drop it in with a liner brush. And put some post on there.
Don't lean on it.
This is Bob's subpar railing, according to Stacey.
Yeah. Drag him.
We're just about ready for the bottom of the lighthouse. Back to the Van Dyke Brown.
This is not passing code.
Now, gonna start right about
The only
here.
Mama Bee says, I put myself in a mental health recovery program and they do an art day 2 times a week. I constantly add things I've learned from Bob. You get a lot of
Sounds
people,
nice.
Stacey, coming into class for the therapeutic aspect of this painting experience.
Yeah, especially
Isn't that something?
the certifications are done in Florida, so there's a lot of instructors down there. I am one of only 2 in Massachusetts, and the other one was actually a former student of mine who went and got certified after taking classes for a while. And so we get people from all over New England coming because there's not a huge population of instructors up here. And yeah, people, fans, super fans, people that just grew up watching Bob and, they came across, the classes online or different avenues, and get to do it in real life. So we get a lot of people from different walks of life, and certainly a lot of people that are doing it to relax. I have one regular that comes to every class, and she said this is her art school. She's, in her 70s. She didn't go to art school. She always wanted to, and she said this is her version of going back to art school, and she comes all the time.
Nivea's TV in the chat says health and safety or sweating. I think that's related to your infrastructure comment, but I love these light brown highlights that he put in that just really make the lighthouse pop.
Yeah, like stone. Really good.
Yeah. Kind of
Like, see,
three-dimensional.
we were all like, oh, rocket ship, and now look, it's fine, it's perfect. So I think people should like see things like this when they're trying out artwork and painting for the first time, because like it's chill. Like, just don't worry about it. Paint something else, paint another one. If you paint your face, wash it off, paint it again. It's chill.
Start our land.
Do you experience happy accidents when body painting, Mel? What would qualify as something that you didn't expect to do, but you turned into something positive?
Oh, it happens all the time. I just don't really say anything and no one notices. Yeah, just no, it's fine. Sometimes as well, when it comes to like makeup, if you make a mistake on this side, it's meant to be symmetrical. Just make the same mistake on the other side, and then just it looks normal.
Ah.
No.
Just own it. We say that in class.
To live in. So let's give him a little house. And I'm still using just Van Dyke Brown.
Uh-oh.
And we'll put a little
Does
thing.
lighthouse house count as a cabin?
I think that counts as a cabin.
Maybe that's a small
Where's
house.
the
There's
line?
a bigger house. We'll give him several buildings to play with. There we go. All of this
Several
we can just
buildings.
fill
He's
in
building
with
a
the dark
compound for the
color.
lighthouse keeper.
You're not going to see it.
Need some
Very
structure at the bottom there. Keep it up.
There. Now a little bit of the umber, and we can put a little bit of highlight up here where a little light striking. Don't overdo this. Just a little. Maybe a little bit's coming right down the roof.
More
here on
expertise in the
side.
chat from Seabiscuit D. It's very cool. A black shape on a black background, but the use of minimal light around it makes such a solid image.
White and the same gray color we used in the sky.
It's nice to see what just small bits of highlight really does. It really brings things to
Quite
life.
dark. Because color shows up so much brighter here than it does on your palette. Just pull down. There's one house.
I think for the basic Bob Ross fan, this is a treat. Like, people usually just think blue skies, happy little clouds, happy little trees,
Almost
and that's all great. But this is,
just work it in and let it
there's so much more to Bob's painting over the course of 400 episodes that went beyond that
go away.
really are, there's a lot to marvel at.
And
Yeah, this is like his horror era.
You saw the opening credits. It was pretty spooky in my opinion.
Same.
like me. Too much junk, and maybe he needs a little shed right here. So we'll just give him one. Put a little front on it. So I can't.
Real.
Needs a
The
dark
lighthouse
side
keeper
right
is
here.
also a hoarder apparently.
And we
It's where he
got a
keeps
little
his spare
shed
railings for the top.
that quick. Now let's take a fan brush, and I want to use yellow ochre. Let's put a little bit of paint thinner with that, just to
Bob
thin it
Goth.
up a
I
little.
love it.
Bob Goth,
A
excellent.
little silk green in it to dull it. Load quite a bit of paint onto your brush. There we go. Now, there's some little grassy areas that grow out here. Just touch and bend. Make the brush bend upward to create all these. If it doesn't stick, add a
21
little bit
minutes
more.
in, and we finally get some green in this painting, Stacy. Is that,
Same.
again, that's
Just a-
pretty unusual, right?
then it'll
Yeah, the buildup. I think
so understood.
I'm kind of unusual, so I think that's why I like this painting so much. Stark on his dark side.
Little grassy area.
Oh my god, spoiler alert, it's right behind you, Stacey.
Darker, darker, darker back here. Let them just
They're
disappear.
everywhere.
Brighter as they get out from behind the house. Dark, dark, dark. There. Okay, now we can go back and play in some water. Little magic white, little firm white.
I always like to hear Bob
And we can
tell
begin
some
by
sort
doing
of fantasy story about what's going on in the painting. Do you do that as well? I always ask CRIs this, the whole make up little stories in your mind thing. As a podcast host,
put you in the
that's
mood.
always on my mind. As a painting instructor, do you encourage that of your students?
100%. I say constantly, like, that's our job as artists, is to tell stories. And as a child of the 80s, I can't help myself. If I'm doing a water, especially right here in this spot, I'm like, Ariel's going to jump out of there and sing for us soon. So, like, we talk about if we want calm water or is Ariel coming out at this moment. Um, but yeah, we have to, like, that is our job, is tell stories with pictures.
I love how specific you are with the Ariel thing. Like
She's my
that's your
favorite.
pop culture reference, right?
Yeah.
CRI Chris Severin mentioned that whenever he paints a mountain, he always pictures Airwolf, the somewhat famous helicopter pilot from the '80s TV show, would just have enough room to fly right through the mountain pass. Different points of reference for different nerds.
Yeah.
Darker, darker, darker over here. Don't want too much light over here.
It's actually quite interesting because there's similar things that you can do with makeup as well. So when I've done like Frankenstein makeup looks, when I do like a skin graft, I'm like, so is this normal skin green and the shade and that should be set back, or is the new grafted part green and that should be set forwards? So and then you almost come up with a story of like in your head of like, well, how do I do the shading on it? Like what's likely happened? And when you come up with like different ideas for doing makeup, I think it makes the most sense because it gives you logic and reasoning as to making the decisions that you're doing in the painting.
Speaking of which, Stacey, I noticed it's not, with some exceptions, that Bob usually works top to bottom. I know depth, perspective are all part of the equation here, but is that just a coincidence or is that intentional at all?
Yeah, I think it's more, as opposed to top to bottom, it's back to front.
Right.
So that's what the wet on wet part is. So you're painting, traditional oil paintings take weeks, months, but this wet on wet technique, the idea is that you're putting wet paint on top of wet paint and you're able to quickly get a result and an image. So by starting at the top or the furthest point is generally the sky and working our way forward is how we get these quick results.
Amazing Larry 7272 predicts Bob's going to paint a happy little tree over the lighthouse. I don't know, Larry. We're running out of time here, but Bob has worked some magic with less than a minute before.
This will not be an exact duplicate of what's animated at the beginning of the show, but it'll give you an idea of how it was painted, and you can make your own almighty picture at home. You would be surprised if you knew how long it takes to animate one of these. Okay, let's just put a little bit of grassy areas right in here. There we go. Just drop them in wherever you think they should be.
That is crazy that he can paint that faster than they can do that time bit at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
About to have us a lighthouse here. If you really wanted to get technical now, we could go back and put maybe a little chimney right up here on this house. If I didn't put that in, somebody would write and say, you didn't put a chimney in there. He's freezing to death right
no
there
smoke
on television. Okay, I think we're about ready for a little signature. Clean up my liner brush.
Bob just saved
Roth and
the
haters.
lighthouse keeper's life with just one stroke of the palette knife.
Permanent
Saved.
red. Just work it till it's
Exactly.
almost like water, very thin.
Oh, he's going to sign this one.
And we can
That's
go right in
never
here.
a guarantee in these episodes.
And put us a nice little signature. It's good to have a short name. Really helps with
Signature.
signing paintings.
Do you use your
Maybe a
signature
little touch
when you
more oil.
paint, Stacy? Do
Now,
you
next
sign
we'll
Sparrow?
be doing a white canvas.
I've got a little SS symbol.
Ready to go.
My grandmother was a painter too, and her last name was Sparrow, and she would sign the S and make it look like a bird and put a little beak on the front. So I do that sometimes
Cute.
too.
Painting here.
Love that.
I think I've mentioned to you before.
Queen of Spells, there's something to be said for the speed you can build up from practicing and feeling comfortable with what you're doing. I hope I get to that point, Stacy.
Almost any question. So
Definitely
from all
can.
of
This
us
was
here,
the first one I ever
wish each
did
and every
with
one of you
Bob in
a
real
good day.
time.
Have a super day.
Wow.
God bless.
Damn.
God bless, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
That was the Lighthouse episode. Ba, 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 da,
With the sea
da,
cabin.
da. Before we go, let's thank our guests, Stacey Sparrow, Mel Croft. Stacey, what's going on in your painting world at the moment, and where can we follow you online?
So Art on the Rocks. If you check us out on Facebook or artontherocksma.com. And this was my first day on Twitch. So Stacey
That's
Sparrow
right.
Art on Twitch. I am going to start doing some live stream Bob Ross paintings on Twitch. So you can follow me there. Do you follow on Twitch? Do you subscribe? What do you do?
All of it.
All yeah,
Mel,
do
Mel
all
can
of
tell
it.
you.
Yeah.
Stacey
Just say
Sparrow
yes.
Art.
Mel Croft, what's going on with you? Where can we follow you online, and where can we watch you body paint?
Fantastic questions. Thank you. So yeah, I go by mcroft07 online, and on Twitch, I typically stream on Tuesdays from 7 p.m. onwards, Wednesdays, 12 p.m. onwards, Thursdays, 7 p.m. onwards, and on Fridays, I play games. And then on the Saturdays, I do a larger body paint. So I do typically around 4 to 5 different paintings a week over on Twitch. And then on my other socials is where I post my videos and my photos of the finished looks or how I've been creating them across my other platforms as well. So you can find me pretty much almost everywhere as mcroft07. And things that are coming up, I have decided to take on learning how to do electrical circuits. And I would like to incorporate that into my artwork as well. I want to make movable headpieces, and see what I can do with that, because why not try something new? Why not learn something different? I'm looking forward to doing some fun stuff.
I always had you figured for an electrical circuit fan, and
You
shout
really
out
did, yeah.
to the folks in the chat who are reminding everyone who wants to follow Mel online. This is UK time that you are on. You are what part of the United Kingdom are you in?
All of it. Just basically the entire United Kingdom. That's me. I can talk for England. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm all of it. You'll find out over on Twitch, and I spend most of my time screaming like my dad says.
Mad Jackpot in the chat says happy little accidents are a bit worse in electrical work. Shocking. I know. Well done. Well done. I love the puns. I love the contributions from our friends here. We do these every month, once every month, in addition to our narrative episodes, our video episodes. We got the Comic-Con episode coming up, and you can follow all things Bob Ross, including our podcast adventures, past, present, and future, on Instagram at Bob Ross _ The Joy of Painting, and on Facebook at The Joy of Painting with Bob Ross. You can now follow Bob Ross on Discord at Bob Ross Official. And next month, we're back with an all-new original episode, plus a fresh Bob Ross rewatch with more special guests and exclusive giveaways. Mel, are we going to be able to see that painting, face painting in photograph form on your socials?
Oh yeah, definitely. I've already edited it. I was chilling out earlier on, making sure I have my edits ready to go. I've already posted a little snippet to advertise today's stream. But yeah, it'll be up there. No worries.
Well done. Well done. You can find out more about the Joy of Bob Ross, a happy little podcast, at bobross.com/podcast. Check out our catalog of colorful episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you've got a Bob Ross story to tell, send us an email, podcast@bobross.com, or you can find the nearest payphone and dial 866-FANBRUSH. That is a real phone number. I'm Ron Scalzo, reminding you that you're only limited by your imagination, so don't forget to fantasize, look at things from different perspectives, celebrate your milestones, take some deep breaths, and create some depth in everything you create, and you too can be an almighty podcast host. Happy streaming and good game, my friends.